This video is on a new turntable from Pro-Ject, the X1B. Now the X1 has been around for a few years and has been updated to the X1B version, which offers balanced connections. Now let's get into this turntable. When Pro-Ject Audio Systems was founded in the 1990s, vinyl sales were actually at an all-time low. Now, they must have had a crystal ball as they've been breaking records every year for the past several years. Now, their vision was to produce turntables and electronics that almost anyone could afford that offered great performance for their cost. Pro-Ject is now the world's largest producer of turntables with several factories all across Europe. And their first turntable was called the Debut, as it was their debut into turntables. This series of turntables has been one of our most popular ones at Audio Advice. But for those of you wanting a higher level of performance, that is where the X models come into play. These are similar in design to their fabulous debut turntables, but take things to the next level in just about every aspect. Like the Pro-Ject turntables, the X1B is a manual belt drive turntable. This means you need to flip a switch to start things up, move the tone arm over the record, lower the Q lever, and raise the Q lever when the record ends. This is how almost 95% of turntables made today are designed, as there's no need to put a bunch of gears and parts under the tone arm, which could reduce the performance. You'll be able to pick from gloss black, gloss white, or walnut for your finish on the X1B. While the X1B sells for about double the price of the latest Debut Evo, it is far from Pro-Ject's most expensive turntable, as they make some that reach into the $10,000 price range. But what is great about Pro-Ject is all of these are made in the same European factories to the same very high level standards. Everything about the fit and finish on the X1B is just first class. Unlike a lot of tables where you need to change the belt to flip from 33 to 45, the X1B has an upgraded electronic speed control where you can change it at just the push of a button. You can even change the belt to a different one if you want to play a 78. Now let's take a look at all the great tech you'll find in the Pro-Ject X1B, starting from the bottom and working our way up. The 3 feet that support the plinth are made from a combination of a thermoplastic elastomer and aluminum. These are also adjustable in height, so you can get the X1B perfectly level. This elastomer, or TPE for short, does a really good job at dampening out resonances. And the fact that they use 3 makes it easier to get things leveled up. The plinth itself is a very heavy CNC machined piece of top quality MDF that gets finished with either 8 layers of paint or a real wood veneer. Now this is one part that attributes to the almost 16-pound weight of the X1B. The electronic speed control uses a precision crystal to generate the signal that goes to the motor. Now this means you'll get great speed consistency, giving the X1B an excellent sense of rhythm and pacing. The models below the X1B, like the Evo and the Pro-Ject Pro, both use the same motor, but the X1B gets a higher and larger motor that runs even more consistently. It is mounted in a large metal enclosure which prevents any electrical noise from making its way out. TPE grommets are used to mount it to the plinth, and a round piece of TPE sits under it on the front and back to further isolate it. All motors make some form of vibration, and this innovative isolation system will minimize any vibration making their way to the platter. The sub-platter and main bearing are also a jump up from other turntables in the X1B. First, the sub-platter is machined to tolerances of 0.001 millimeter. That is super precise. They then use a stainless steel platter bearing with a bronze bushing and what they call Teflon mirrors to produce rumble and noise to the lowest level possible. This great sub-platter and bearing assembly supports their classic acrylic main platter. This is the same material that they use other platters, but the X1B gets a big jump up in thickness and mass. The platter is 20 millimeters thick and weighs in at 3.3 pounds. The heavy platter will give you great rotational stability. The 8.6-inch tone arm on the X1B is also pretty special. It takes what they did for the less expensive Pro-Ject Pro and goes even further. And we can't say enough about how important the tone arm is. It has what might seem like a simple job of holding the phono cartridge above the record while it traces the microscopic grooves, but it has to do this with minimal friction and resonances. With their own in-house CNC machines, the Pro-Ject engineers can make anything they want to very tight tolerances. The bearing housing begins as a single block of aluminum and is machined to extreme tolerances. It houses a carbon ultra-low friction 4-pin point bearing that is far superior to the one used in the Pro model. The tone arm itself is a one-piece sandwich construction with an aluminum arm tube wrapped in carbon fiber for strength. The counterweight also uses TPE damping in their quest for 0 resonances. And we like the fact that you can not only adjust vertical tracking height, but azimuth as well. Speaking of adjustments, getting your turntable set up properly can make a world of difference in its performance. If your turntable came pre-mounted with a cartridge, you do not have to worry much about anything other than simple setup. But if you start to venture into the world of buying the turntable and cartridge separately, getting the setup done right is critical. Now, when you purchase your turntable and cartridge from Audio Advice, it will go into our setup lab, where we use the latest testing equipment to make sure it arrives to you perfectly set up. Finally, and this one is a pretty big deal about the X1B, it has 2 types of output connections on the rear. One is the standard, very nice RCA jacks, but the other is a mini XLR connector. Now, this connector lets you connect your X1B up in a balanced audio configuration. Balanced audio connections are the standard for recording studios, professional musicians, and live performances. The big advantage is that a balanced system cancels out any noise the cable may pick up. And in this day and age of wireless and all kinds of devices in our homes, noise is everywhere. So reducing the noise is actually the most important thing that you can do for a phono signal, as it's about 1,000 times less in level than that of, say, a CD player. When we first saw Pro-Ject was going to offer balanced on their turntables, we were so happy to see this, as previously it had only been available on some of the most expensive turntables in the world. The way balanced works is pretty simple. There are double the number of conductors for one signal feed. One side of the signal gets inverted, so it's essentially out of phase with the other. At the receiving end, the inverted feed goes back to normal, and the 2 feeds are then combined. This means anything other than the original signal disappears when the feeds are combined. Plus, you get more output this way. It's why musicians loved balanced cables, as you can run them great distances without picking up any noise. On the receiving end of this signal, you will need to have a phono preamp that can accept a balanced feed. Up until now, this was also a pretty high price barrier, but Pro-Ject has released several great value balanced phono preamps to use with their new balanced turntables. The last fact to bear in mind for this great system to work with a turntable is you must use a moving coil cartridge. They are naturally balanced, whereas a moving magnet is not. This is why we were a little puzzled to see Pro-Ject offering the new X1B turntable with their very good Sumiko Rainier moving magnet cartridge. Granted, this is one heck of a great moving magnet. Sumiko spent years developing these in conjunction with some engineers in Yokohama, Japan. All of the models have the same body, so you can even upgrade to better sound when you replace the stylus if you want. They did present us with a pretty good explanation. The original X1, which the X1B replaced, was not balanced and was only $100 less than the new X1B. The X1B turntable on its own for the price with the Rainier is just a super good sounding turntable. Had they packaged it with a moving coil, the balanced cable, and the necessary balanced phono preamp, it would have been a lot more expensive and out of the range of many people who would appreciate the X1B even without going balanced. But I have to tell you, after playing around with one of these and comparing balance to regular RCA, the difference is amazing, and we would like to see all better turntables offer this option. We set up the X1B with the low output moving coil from Sumiko called the Blue Point Special Evo 3 low output moving coil cartridge. We use their new Prebox S3B phono preamp, which is their entry level at $499 balanced phono preamp. The first cut we tried was Boxer from Simon & Garfunkel. Playing the system using the RCA connection sounded fantastic, and it really let you hear how great the X1B does with rhythm and pacing along with tracking. It also told us that this upgraded tone arm is fully capable of supporting any serious moving coil cartridge with its outstanding bearings and anti-resonant characteristics. This is a great turntable even without the balanced options. But when we disconnected the RCA cables, inserted the balanced cable, and then used balanced outs to go into the Mark Levinson integrated driving the speakers, it was like a big veil was lifted off of the sound. Things got more effortless with tiny details emerging from what was a completely silent background. It was not subtle. We then tried the classic Come Away With Me by Norah Jones and had the same exact experience. The X1B in RCA mode sounded great, but switching to running things balanced was just making a huge improvement. The new Pro-Ject X1B turntable on its own is an excellent performer. For only $300 more than the debut Pro turntable, it has a lot of technology that will extract more information from your vinyl and spin the platter at an even more consistent speed. You could buy the X1B as is and be happy with it for decades. But if you want to delve into the world of moving coil cartridges and their far better sound, you have a turntable that will do them justice and at the same time allow you to go balanced. You would need to buy a moving coil phono preamp anyway if you went this route. So why not get one of the excellent new Pro-Ject models that offer balanced connections along with great sound? The X1B will give you outstanding audio right now, but open up a whole host of potential upgrades down the road. And let me tell you, this balanced thing with moving coil cartridges is a big deal and a great leap forward. Now, if you have further questions about this great turntable, be sure to reach out to our team of experts at audioadvice.com via chat, phone, or email, and we'd be happy to help you out. And our world-class showrooms have a variety of turntables on display and are another great way for you to compare and hear them for yourself. But if you're already sold, we offer free shipping, lifetime support, and a price guarantee. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the notifications so you don't miss out on any of our latest content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.